What is the most expensive mistake you have ever made? Trusting my childhood best friend Randy with my dad's house. Dad passed away suddenly from a heart attack and left me his place 2 hours away. I had a newborn daughter, my wife was on maternity leave, and I was working 60-hour weeks trying to keep us afloat. The house was just sitting there empty, and I couldn't afford to drive up every weekend to maintain it. Randy had been my best friend since 3rd grade. We grew up together, went to each other's weddings. When he called saying he lost his apartment and needed somewhere cheap to crash for a few months, it felt like fate. He'd pay $800 a month rent, help maintain the place, and I wouldn't have to worry about squatters or break-ins. Win-win. First 6 months were perfect. He sent me photos of repairs he was doing, fixed the leaky faucet in the basement, replaced some rotted deck boards, even mowed the lawn every week. He paid rent on time, sometimes early. Once he even sent an extra month up front saying he got a bonus at work. I felt guilty charging him at all. Then the rent check stopped. First month he texted saying his boss was late on payroll, promised to catch up. I said no worries, I understood. Month 2, same story. I was getting concerned but didn't want to be that guy who hounds a friend going through hard times. Month 3, he stopped responding to my texts entirely. I drove up unannounced on a Saturday morning. The house looked fine from the street. Grass was cut, no obvious damage. I knocked on the door, expecting Randy to answer looking sheepish. Instead, a woman I'd never seen opened it. She was maybe 30, had a kid on her hip, looked annoyed. I introduced myself as the owner. She looked confused and said Randy moved out 2 months ago, that he'd given her the keys and a lease. She invited me in to prove it. There on the kitchen table was a rental agreement. 1-year lease, $600 a month, signed by Randy as property manager and my dad's signature as landlord. My dad had been dead for 8 months. I told her the lease was fake, that Randy had no authority to rent the place. She started crying, said she'd paid him first month last month and security deposit, $1,800 cash, had the receipt and everything. Her kids started crying too. She said she had nowhere else to go. I called Randy immediately, straight to voicemail, tried 10 more times, nothing. I checked his Facebook. He'd been posting from Florida for 3 weeks, beach photos, cocktails, living it up. I consulted a lawyer that Monday. He said the woman was technically a tenant now, even with a fraudulent lease because she'd been living there and had proof of payment to someone. Legal eviction would take minimum 90 days in our county. Could be longer if she fought it, and I couldn't force her out or I'd be breaking the law. The eviction process cost me $8,000 in legal fees and 4 months of my life. I had to drive up for 6 different court dates. The woman fought it hard, claiming she had a valid lease and had been duped too. Judge finally ruled in my favor in month 4. The day I got the house back, I walked in and immediately knew something was wrong. The heating didn't work. I went to the basement and froze. Every single copper pipe was gone, cut right out of the walls and floor. The hot water heater was there but disconnected and useless. Randy had sold everything for scrap metal. The plumber I called said it would cost $35,000 to replumb the entire house. Insurance wouldn't cover it because I'd been renting it out without a landlord policy. That was another thing I didn't know I needed. I tracked down Randy through his cousin who still lived in town. Turns out Randy had done this exact scam twice before in other states. He'd find someone with an empty property, offered a house sit or rent cheap, then forge documents and sublet it for profit. When the owner caught on, he'd strip the copper and bounce. His cousin said Randy was bragging about having $15,000 from selling my pipes and renting out my house for 6 months. Said I was his easiest mark because I trusted him completely. Didn't even check on the property once. I filed a police report. They said it was a civil matter, not criminal, because technically he had my permission to be there initially. My lawyer said I could sue Randy, but he had nothing to his name. Just outstanding warrants in 3 states and probably living under a fake name in Florida by now. The repairs took 3 months. Between the plumbing, fixing walls where pipes had been ripped out, replacing damaged flooring, and getting the house ready to sell, I spent $47,000 total. Then the real estate agent said the eviction on record and the extensive repairs hurt the property value. The house should have sold for $240,000. It sold for $150,000. After paying off the remaining mortgage, lawyer fees, repairs, and realtor commission, I walked away with $12,000. My dad had meant to leave me something to help with my daughter's future. Instead, I lost my daughter's entire college fund because I wanted to help an old friend who saw me as a payday. Randy never called, never texted, never apologized. Last I heard, he's running the same scam somewhere in Texas.